Welcome back everyone to another Company Viewers 2 replay cast, and this time it is going to be on Rails as a Metal from Kodo.org. I'm not sure who uploaded it. Might have been, well, any one of these four, I have no idea. So we have Red Force, Korea, obviously a really good player, Co-Master, wow that's edgy, with the foreign free lead speak, Shadowlink, and Lima Oscar Mike, so Soviet, Wehrmacht OKW. Ah, interesting. 2 Soviets on Rails and Metal. I haven't seen that in a long time. And of course, Special Rocket Command coming right up for both of these Soviet players. Not surprising in the least bit. On the opposing side, we're going to have a Cubewagon coming out for Shadowlink. And Lee Musker Mike is going to go for an MG to try to capture, most likely, the central building by the fuel on the right side. Possibly to secure the center, but yeah, I'm guessing the MG will be following up these pioneers and rushing for the house. Of course, this house is very, very annoying to deal with for any of the sides if you lose it, as is this one, which of course falls to the Sturm Pioneers. So that will be the retreat of these poor combat engineers. And why is there no music? Why is there no music? The music volume is pretty high, so why do you not work? Anyway, of course, second engineer from Co-Master, just to get that extra bit of, I guess, capping, because he had the first engineer build a Special Rocket Command, and second engineer from Red Force as well. So coming along with the penals, still nothing too major coming out of the Soviets. The Germans in this early game are getting a bit of an advantage, and they should be able to hold onto some of these important locations. Looks like the Sturm Pioneers will be boxing themselves in with this barbed wire. Yeah, I'm thinking that this guy is a little stuck now, but preventing the enemy from entering from the eastern entrance of the building will be a pretty... Oh, they TP'd out. Actually, it looks like it will not prevent them from heading in because, well, the Pioneers just entered from it. Anyway, so we have some penals fighting it out in the center with some Grenadiers. Grenadiers are going to have to withdraw to better cover to fight that. Of course, the MG42 is going to be able to just easily wipe out these engineers and force them back to base. While, unfortunately for the MG, there's a Penal Battalion flanking round. The Grenadier over here will not be able to stop them, I think, unless something interesting happens, like the MG managing to get some suppression done on these guys. No, it will not. And here comes the satchel charge. The MG needs to get out, and it knew that, so it does get out in time. Very nice reaction time from Lima Oscar Mike, managing to save his prized possession of the MG42, not allowing the building to fall down upon it. The Cubewagon is helping the Fuchs Grenadiers in the northwestern end of the map to defeat the penals and also getting some damage done on these common engineers. This will allow the OKW player to capture the center and hold the, I guess, left side fuel. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good for him. He's going to have a nice advantage when it comes to map control in the center and left, which is going to sort of compensate for his ally having some trouble on the right. Of course, Lee Musker Mike managed to save the MG, but right now the MG has been, looks like, basically hounded by the Soviet infantry up until it only has one guy, and it's going to have to retreat. Of course, the advantage that's given by the penals and these early game firefights is not to be trifled with for our German players, and Lee Musker Mike with the slightly disadvantaged position of having to retreat the MG. He's not going to be able to hold off all this infantry and have to essentially escape. For now, of course, this isn't too much of a problem because his ally has control over the left and center, so that is not going to be that bad for him, and we'll see if anything can be done from Lee Musker Mike to recapture the south, which would be quite the boon for the Germans. So here comes a flamethrower. This is going to dislodge all these penals from the heavy cover over here. This is definitely going to be good, forcing away from the trench, and I'm guessing that Red Force is going to just retreat off. Is he? No, he's trying to focus down the Pioneers, but it will not work too much. Yeah, the poor penals are forced to retreat, and right now the engineers will follow the same fate, although at least he forces the flamethrower to retreat as well. So this is going to reduce the combat power for the Germans in the area by a slight bit. Of course, the MG42 comes back, and he's going to be able to use the MG42 to defend the EVP and the fuel from enemy aggression, which is pretty much what that MG is for. Right now, Shadowlink is trying to overrun the Soviet positions in the center. We have a penal counterattacking, and he's going to thrust satchel charge possibly very good, but decent reactions from Shadowlink lead to the retreat of two Volksgrenadiers. He could have just probably dodged it without retreating, honestly, because he saw it very, very early. But I guess he just kind of saw the number and started to panic, thinking that it was about to explode. So probably a safe choice. I wouldn't have done the same, probably. Although, again, he could have just dodged it by walking away instead of just retreating. So that could have been a little bit of extra, units on the field for him. Let's speed it up because there's not much going on. We have a mechanized regiment headquarters coming from Shadowlink. That's going to provide the Lukes, of course, against two Special Rifle Command using Soviet players, or maybe abusing, depending on your perspective, Soviet players. The Lukes is going to be very, very good because there's no anti-tank guns on the field. There's also no mines that I can see placed by the Soviet engineers anywhere on the map, so that's of course going to be another plus. Although, of course, if you're going to be going for the Lukes, you probably should, play it safe and get a Minesweeper. Very, very good for Shadowlink. Going for that Minesweeper and also our Ken River, so he's playing it safe both on the mines front and on the vehicles front. Right now, the Germans have a triple cap and they want to continue getting this lead and forcing away. Oh, there is a mine actually from Comaster. We want to continue pressuring the Soviets and making them do bad decisions with their disadvantageous position. As you can see right now, Red Force is sending his entire force to the southern side of the map. Not much over there in the way of defenses. We have an MG and a mortar, but they're going to be facing the wrong way. And also a Grenadier squad that's pretty lonely going to be coming up against Free Penals. So we're going to need some extra bit of support to come down for Lima Oscar Mike in the south. In the north, we have Comaster bringing up his forces, but he's going to be forced away, I'm thinking, by... Ooh, there goes Cubewagen. He's going to be forced away by these Volksgrenadiers and Sturms. Although he does manage to grab the house, of course, because the little barbed wire fortification didn't really work. Let's see, the MG manages to reposition and catch a couple of these Penals off cover. And on the open ground, of course, they go pretty quickly into the dirt. However, one of the other Penals manages to evade the fire. The MG is forced to retreat, and even a flamethrower is going to be captured. A Flammenwerfer 45 drops from the demolished, I guess, Pioneer squad. There was really... I guess nothing that could have been done about that. I mean, the Pioneers should have really just retreated earlier, but once they were in that fight, with the spam of Penals, they really didn't have a chance. Right now, also looks like something damaged these Grenadiers very heavily, and of course the stolen Flammenwerfer, leading to the Penals coming back to their original love of the Flamethrower. And yeah, this is not going to be too good for our German player. We have a half-track, and he could go for the Flame half-track. Of course, Flame half-track is going to be very, very strong right now. He does not have Battle Phase 2, so he cannot go for any other anti-infantry vehicles for a long while. So I'm thinking that the Flame half-track would be a very, very strong pick, especially to deal with all these penal squads, because the Flame projectors have a pretty long range on that, and so you can avoid the satchel charge range quite easily if you're microing it correctly. In the meantime, it looks like these Penals are going to be trying to get a satchel charge off on the building. I mean, 2 Grenadiers in there is just a prime target. Although, I mean, they might just be winning by sheer rifle fire. Yeah, for 4 Penal squads, that's a lot of SPTs going to be pounding away at that building. Of course, with the Flamethrower as well, the folks are going to have to just escape out of there before they are roasted alive. And even another Penal squad, so we have 5 Penals coming in, and... Lima Oscar Mike's half-rack comes in and just blazing away with the MG42. Not really upgrading the flame projectors. It's an interesting choice from Lima Oscar Mike. I mean, he might want the retreat point, because of course when you upgrade those flame projectors, you lose the retreat point, but oh well. So we have a Su-76 coming from Korea Red Force and a T-70 from Comaster. Pretty good coordination between the two. One going for the anti-infantry, another going for just the anti-vehicle to deal with either the SDKFZ half-track, or whatever else might be coming from the Germans. Exactly this I had in mind, a Lux. So overall, the Allies are just trying to prepare themselves for any inconvenience. Not sure they're going to be too successful. I mean, the Lux right now is already dealing quite a bit of damage to the Soviet infantry in the left side of the map. So if this Lux does not really get a check anytime soon, it's going to be a bit of a problematic situation for our allied players, especially because the Germans are going to be able to hunker down again, both in the center and south. because there's right now no allied combat troops in the area. They're easily able to get there. There's a demo charge here, which could be blown, but of course that Pioneer is a little bit too spread out. Let's see. The Lukes was very close to a penal squad there, which I thought was going to throw a satchel, but it didn't really work out that way. So penals escaping, Lukes unscathed. There's a Su-76, which might be attempting to position itself for a bait. It does fire at this Panzer II, but it does miss, so not too much. Missed again. I think that was actually a attack round. There's no way it could have missed that way. Yeah, I'm thinking that was attack round, and here comes the artillery barrage from that 75 mil. Not really hitting those grenadiers behind the tractor. Glorious tractor of the Soviet motherland, able to protect the invaders from the wrath of the Su-76. Yeah, overall it seems like the Allies may have a chance to recover the north. They also have a couple of forces coming for this place, this victory point, which actually was protected by the demo charge. And in fact, the demo charge wiped out the Pioneers. That's actually very surprising. I would have expected one of these guys to survive the explosion, but it looks like maybe they repositioned. So this allowed the engineers to come in without any opposition, and of course the MG comes in and gets immediately firing squatted by the two penal squads in the area, also forcing away the Panzerschreck with the Panzerschreck with the Panzergrenadier, yes, of course, forcing away the Panzergrenadiers with the P-Shreks, who really cannot do too much against these penals. In fact, they even waste a bundle grenade, 45 munitions down the toilet for the Moscow Mike away with them. In the meantime, however, the Su-76 is in a very, very, very bad situation with its back against a building and a couple of squads coming in to destroy it. In fact, even Lukes is going to be able to get in on the fun, firing onto the rear armor with its 30mm cannon. 30mm? Maybe 20mm, who knows? I would say 20mm. And absolutely smashing that poor Su-76. Right now, the Soviet infantry that's trying to help out, along with the T-70, will be probably unable to do too much. I mean, this is a very impressive firing line, of course, of penals. 5 squads already. There's going to be a lot of firepower headed down the way of the Germans. But if the Axis can use their Lukes, then all those infantry will be essentially worthless, because the Lukes will just be able to essentially pick them away at long range. Although, I mean, they seem to be doing just fine, and that was a 120mm mortar. Yep, that was a 120mm mortar from Guard Motor Coordination Tactics of Co-Master. Pretty good choice, especially on something like rails and metal. I mean, of course, you can use the guards pretty effectively. Lots of heavy cover on the map, and the 120mm is going to be excellent at dealing with German positions, especially on turtley maps like this. It is a pretty decent little pick. T-70 trying to destroy the Lukes once and for all, but Lukes is answering in kind, doing a lot of damage in return. I'm thinking that this T-70, if it can face the frontal armor to the Lukes, is going to be able to withstand its fire and probably defeat it in the end. Although it has to retreat, and it's going to leave the job to the Satchels from the penals. Yes, this is definitely going to destroy that Lukes. Although the Lukes actually pushes into the penals and manages to create a sort of a VBID. Vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, destroying that penal squad. That was very, very improvised, very, very explosive, and very fun to watch. Although it was not very fun for these penals, definitely. So very good play from Shadowlink. Knew that his vehicle was dead and decided to get something out of it and destroys a squad. Ooh, that's a painful, painful shot from that 120mm. That's not good. What is that? Oh, that's the demo charge. Ooh, Grenadiers headed right into the jaws of the demo charge, although they luckily managed to avoid that through sheer luck. And damn, they avoided the demo charge, but they didn't avoid the mortar rounds. So 2 120s just smashing not Co-Masters, the Moscow Mike's troops, not really letting them have any respite, and it's reserve army. So Korea Red Force has picked reserve army. That allows him to have a 120mm, again 152mm howitzer for the late game, and of course for now he's going to have partisan tank hunters to spawn out of buildings to deal with German vehicles. Papasha on the conscripts, although he does not have any conscripts, and of course rapid conscription, which whenever he loses troops is going to give him back conscripts squads, up to 2 for 120mm munitions. Yes, of course, for 120 munitions. not the worst deal ever for our Soviet player. Let's see if he can scrounge up enough munitions to actually use that. Of course, right now, this munitions point is kind of protected by the two 120s, so it will not fall probably. But the Soviets seem to be quite low on munitions, at least Red Force. Wonder what he's been spending those on. Oh, he's actually going to go for the howitzer right away. That's a bold choice, considering that the Soviets right now are down to 300 points. They're about to be triple capped, and the Germans are still at 438. So overall, the VP game very much in favor of the Germans, and the map control as well is in the way of the Axis. So I really don't condone two artillery pieces. I mean, both the Katyusha and the 152 millimeter howitzer. Wait. Yep. So we'll see how this works out. I mean, the howitzer might be used to try to pound this battle group headquarters if the Allies even know it exists, which might not be the case. No, in fact, they don't even know. Well, they do know that this exists, so that's just about it. Anyway, yeah, whenever they find the battle group headquarters, the 152 millimeter howitzer is going to be very, very strong at dealing with this. Whenever the enemies retreat, you just barrage that and deal as many casualties as possible, also preventing the enemy from safely reinforcing. There's also a T-34-76 coming from... Wait, no, that might be an 85. That's an 85. 85 coming in from Co-Master, so he's going to have a bit of an extra anti-vehicle with that big medium tank. Right now, T-70 is charging in, but it will have to retreat because of that Raketenwerfer. Not really the best possible outcome. Right now, the artillery piece is firing on... looks like there was a squad there, but it didn't really... Well, it got a kill. And will the double charge be detonated? Yes, there goes another Grenadier squad from Lee Musker Mike. He's down to only one squad. Vet2 and no upgrades. Also, here comes the Katyusha barrage dealing, let's see how much damage to the OKW. Only 2 casualties, so both of the artillery pieces kind of debuting in a lukewarm fashion. Not really doing too much, but that's kind of the beauty of artillery pieces. Despite the fact that first barrage is the most important, you can always come back and get the vengeance on the enemy. So there's a P4 from Lee Musker Mike, and Shadowlink might be going for a KT at this point, I think. Or maybe a Jagdtiger. Yeah, I think Jagdtiger is the more likely option. He's got 9 CPs, so he's a little bit tiny bit ahead in that. And he might be going for the Jagdtiger because, I don't know, I mean, at 183 fuel, if you're going for the KT, you would probably have already built the Schwerer Panzer headquarters. So he's either kind of weighing his options or waiting for the Jagdtiger. I don't know, both of them are possible. And here comes some anti-tank partisans. They're actually being deployed preemptively from this building, and they're being positioned in an ambush position in the center just in case this Panzer IV shows up, I'm guessing. They're going to try to use their anti-tank grenades, which they don't have upgraded yet at the HQ, plus their Panzerschrecks to deal tons and tons of damage to hopefully also destroy the P4 if they can get the anti-tank grenade off. Meantime, looks like T-34-85 is doing his job in the north, but with this Raketenwerfer being there, the T-70 can't really provide that extra bit of anti-infantry that the Allies need in the area, which isn't going to be too good, although here comes a little bit of extra anti-infantry in the form of rockets. So that's the Veteran C2 Raketenwerfer crew that's going to be going down. Pretty good little kill, because they might also be able to steal the Raketenwerfer or destroy it with the T-34-85. If the T-34-85 really did just target the Raketenwerfer, this could be a very good thing, but T-34 moves up a little bit too far, eats a Raketenwerfer shot, and also a Panzerfaust. Although, the Volksgrenadiers aren't recapturing the Raketenwerfer for some reason. Anyway, so the ambush is sprung by the anti-tank partisans. They also managed to get a little bit of damage off on the Panzer IV, but they're met by their German counterparts with more Panzerschrecks, and unfortunately that will reveal them and allow the Panzer IV to escape, as well as it seems like there's a couple of Soviet infantry units moving in, but not really too much going on. I mean, there's a couple of Grenadiers and the 120s, but the 120s have been taking damage from unknown sources. Most likely just rifle grenades or normal grenades. They're still alive, though. Of course, the 120mm mortar can stay alive with only one guy in the crew for some reason. So that's going to be fine for it. And the T-70 flanks the other Raketenwerfer, manages to most likely wipe it out with its 45mm? No, doesn't. Anyway, so the other Reckenwerfer was not recaptured by the Germans. Grave mistake. This will allow the Allies another free AT, well, a free AT gun. That is the first of the game for them. Also, looks like the howitzer's firing on the center, but not really having a lot of luck. It does hit their half-track and almost destroy it, but thanks to that bit of repair that the Pioneers were getting in, it does not actually die. So that's good for them. Very, very good for Limas Carmike. He's going to have another Stug, or actually a Stug, coming off the field. I don't like Stugs. I just don't like them. They're good. It's just that I don't like them. I never see them do well. But oh well. Actually, this is the rapid conscription being popped from Red Force. Wanted to get a little bit of extra infantry. Ooh, there goes a demo charge destroying something. Right now, it seems like there's a bit of an engagement in the center, and Flamethrower Penal is going to be able to force away this poor Grenadier. Of course, the Panzer IV is going to be dealing casualties to these Penals, but that's exactly what Red Force wanted because he had rapid conscription on, so he has been able to get his second free conscript squad off of that. So 2 free conscripts. Unfortunately, this one is eating a lot of the fire. So what they actually might be able to capture the VP. No, they get pinned just right at the last second. That must be very aggravating for Red Force. However, the P4 gets a little bit too close and is going to get stickied by that satchel charge. That's going to deal a lot of damage and damage the engine as well. Right now, the Penal Battalion is going to be trying to push up against the Reckenwerfer, but the 275mm fire from both the Panzer IV and the Stug are going to be enough to convince it otherwise. Basically, at the northwestern junction with the VP, we have the concentration of both Soviet players. 2 T-3485s from Co-Master, helping out the Allies in keeping control of the area, but the center is still contested, and the south is finally getting harassed by Red Force with that extra conscript. He's going to be able to capture it. There's a half-track in the area along with an MG, but they're all basically out of their line of sight. Here comes a Stuka in the center. Interesting choice. It does not wipe out anything. It does do a little bit of damage to both the Penals and the stolen Reckenwerfer. Yeah, the stolen Reckenwerfer. I'm not sure on this choice of Stuka. I mean, a Stug and a Panzer IV aren't enough to deal with the 2 T-3485s, I don't think. And with so much Soviet artillery on the field, of course the 2 120s, the Katyusha, the 152mm howitzer, one Stuka isn't going to be enough to counter all of that if you're going to be firing it at infantry. I think that barrage should have been spent in trying to deal with 2 120s. I mean, at least taking out their crews and their veterancy. That should have been the priority, especially since they're bunched up like this. I mean, I'm not sure if the Germans know kind of where they are, but they should be paying attention to the map, where those shots are coming from, and so they should have known. There goes another Reckenwerfer crew, gonna be sniped off by the rockets. So Katyusha up to 11 kills, and that's definitely been a pretty good run for the Katyusha dealing with those Reckenwerfers, but he still hasn't been able to use it to much good effect for anything else. Right now, it looks like this T-3485 charge is going to result in one of the T-34s being severely damaged, but the Stug also goes down to the marked vehicle T-3485 slash Panzerschreck partisan combo. So that's pretty good. Also, we have a rapid conscription being popped by Red Force, of course, because he was in the middle of a fight. Right now, he's also going to be coming in with the Penals in the center, doing quite a lot of pressure. And loses a squad. Which squad? Looks like a conscript, I'm guessing. Yeah, I think a conscript got killed for Red Force, and he's just gained another one off the field. So that's kind of the point of rapid conscription. You just get out conscripts upon conscripts upon conscripts. What I like to use it as is a reinforcement machine, because these conscripts do have merge. So you can merge them with other squads. And once you get a little bit too many conscripts, if such a thing is even possible, you can just use them as a free reinforcement for your other squads. Of course, they get conscript models when you merge them into like a Penal, for example. You don't get a Penal model, you get a conscript model, but I believe they keep the weapons, because I know 100% for example, shock troops, the conscripts that merge into the shock troops get Papashas. So, yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Right now, it seems like these Penals are going to be trying to get a bit of a push on the south going, but it does not look like the Germans will allow them too much of a headway. There's a machine gun and a P4 in the area that's going to be able to easily push back these poor Penals. They don't really have any AT or ways to deal with the MG if they do not flank it. And right now, 30-34-85 is coming through for Co-Master. So he's going to be definitely building up that medium force. I'd like to see that. I like to see the mobility being used and being pushed all over the map. Right now, the Stuka fires back at the Penals and doesn't really do too much. D70 is up to vet free, so that means it gets the extra weapon awareness, line of sight. For, of course, the recon mode, this is very, very strong. So he can use this thing right now as a bit of a vision bot or a Mapex vehicle. And a new T-34 is on the field. Unfortunately, it looks like one of these partisans is going to go down. Really now, he might be able to escape. And even the Panzer IV that sort of walked up, drived up to destroy it, will take a lot of damage in return. There is a marked vehicle on it, but it will barely escape with its life. Unfortunately, it looks like one of the T-34-85s might go down to the Stug. These Grenadiers are very, very low on HP. They tried to fire a rifle grenade on the penal crew of the Spokane River. That saves them because only one rifle instead of 3 is firing on them. And also the T-34-76 goes down to the Stug thanks to the spawning of that Grenadier squad. So Hero Grenadier does manage to get out very luckily. Although it seems like these T-34-85s are trying to get some revenge on the Germans. They're going to be able to destroy at least the half-track. In the north, we had a Katyusha barrage. Got 4 kills on the German infantry in the area. The German infantry, however, is pushing up and managing to do some good damage on the conscripts, but there's an MG42, actually not, MG34 that was stolen, so that's also providing some good suppression for the Allies. The Howitzer is firing on Stug, the base? Might be firing on the base. Yeah, I think it was firing on the base. And right now, it seems like the German infantry will not be able to recapture the left side, so the assault failed, and the south still is under control of the Germans, but the center has fallen to the Allies. So overall, the VP situation is going to be coming slowly in the favor of our 2 Soviet players. With 120 points remaining, they need to be very, very careful with how they defend at least 1 point. They need to focus all their efforts in doing that, because, of course, if they get triple cap, they've only got a couple of minutes, and this is going to be devastating. The central charge is not noticed by Shadowlink, and that's going to deal a lot of damage to his folks. Although, because of the close proximity of the battle headquarters, he's going to be able to very quickly reinforce and get back on the field. Here comes a Stuka barrage, right point blank range against the trees. You never really do that because that's, well, a recipe for disaster. Luckily for these Penals that happened, because that barrage would have definitely wiped out the last 2 remaining men. It killed 2 men, so it looks like they had 4. And left 2 alive, so that was very, very lucky for them that the Stuka came in a little bit too close to those trees. Also, counter-battery fire from the Soviet artillery doesn't really do too much because the Stuka was moved, so good on Shadowlink to actually move that artillery piece after he fires. And right now, the triple cap is being reversed. It's in favor of the Allies. The Germans have 369 VPs, so they're going to be able to hold at least for 6 minutes on the clock for that, and good job from Shadowlink, bring up first with the support package Pioneers to avoid any nasty surprises from those demo charges, and that is completely successful. He's going to be able to avoid that demo charge and capture the point, because that was the only defense for Red Force in the area while his infantry was back at base, licking their wounds and replenishing. Also, Co-Master's infantry was doing the same, so this is going to be a nice opportunity for the Germans to get at least some VP pressure off on their backs. Right now, the Panzer IV eats another grenade from the partisans. So that's good usage of the partisans, at least keeping the Panzer IV away from the fight. What is Shadowlink doing with all this fuel? He's going for either Jagdtiger or... no, he's going for a Jagdtiger. He's just waiting for the manpower. I'm not too sure about going for a Jagdtiger when your opponent's main armor is T-34-85s. T-34-85s are very, very strong against vehicles that don't really have... Wait, did this guy hit a mine and not, take any damage? That's very unfortunate, but it will be avenged by the second mine, more than made up for it, when 1 mine destroys 2 Stug's engines. This is why you do not bunch up vehicles, you do not blob with vehicles as well as you do not blob with infantry. Splash damage also applies the damaged engine effect from mines. So that's pretty damn dangerous for these Stoogs. They're kind of just stranded in the middle of the field. Luckily for them, they had already damaged these T-34-85s. Here comes the howitzer fire for some reason. Ooh, Katyushas and Stukas both firing at the same time. Looks like the Katyusha was firing at the retreat point. That was a potentially very, very dangerous little barrage. Only manages to take out our Kenberfer crew and the weapon itself, so overall not a wasted one, but it could have been even more deadly had there been a little bit more RNG in the favor of the Soviets. So we have the Jagdtiger coming in, all black. Yeah, I'm not too sure on this. I think it's a pretty bad decision. I mean, with 3 T-34-85s on the field, I don't see this Jagdtiger living for long, because a concerted attack from the T-34-85s going all in with the marked vehicle and a lot of infantry support, of course. Yeah, I just don't see how the Jagdtiger can survive. I mean, maybe all the T-34-85s in a in a good scenario for the Germans and a good outcome for the Germans, all the T-34-85s go down, and only the Jagdtiger dies for the Germans. But the Jagdtiger always dies in this scenario. I just don't see how 3, soon to be 4 T-34-85s are not going to kill the Jagdtiger if they get a decent flank. That is, not sure. Anyway, he'd have to be very, very lucky with his Panzerfausts and very, very good with his Raketenwerfer placement. But we'll see. So 2 120mm, definitely continuing their spree of destruction. We're at 22 kills between them, so not too bad. The Katyusha also is at 22 kills, if I recall correctly. Yep, 22 kills, so he's got the Creeping Barrage, which isn't all too useful. 8 kills for the Howitzer, but the Howitzer's been doing also a lot of damage to structures, which is why it's got almost up to vet 2. And unfortunately, the Battlegroup Cruise is just kind of slightly out of range of the Howitzer. So this was... I'm not sure if you saw who started to play Company of Heroes, but that was an interesting name. So, yeah, okay. Essentially, he's having to rely on the Howitzer's inaccuracy, because if it misses, it's the only, the only way it's gonna hit this Battlegroup Cruiser is if it misses and goes wide. So, he's gonna have to rely on the inaccuracy of it rather than the accuracy. We'll see. That was very, very unfortunate of a placement for both the Soviet player and, well, mostly just for the Soviet player, and fortunate one for Shadowlink. Ooh, I removed the taskbar. Didn't even know that there was a button anywhere here. Oh, this one. Well, that's okay. Anyway, taskbar is useful. I will not remove it. Nice Katyusha Barrage, gonna force away all those poor Volksgrenadiers back to their headquarters, and if the Howitzer is gonna be firing at the same time, ooh, this could be dangerous. Let's see if Red Force is paying attention to the Howitzer, or maybe just he's microing other things. He probably has other things to do. He's pushing along in the south, and that's having some good effects. As you can see right now, the Wehrmacht is being pushed back to his base, and can't really provide any security for the VP anymore, as he could in the days of old. Right now, 3 T-34-85 is going to be charging down. Co-Master is actually at full pop cap, which is why he cannot go for a 4th one. But 3 T-34-85s are still kind of a force to be reckoned with, especially with all that support that is coming along for them. The 2 120mm to deal with any kind of AT guns, and especially the Penals to deal with the infantry. Right now, it seems like the 2 Stugs will be able to easily push away the T-34s from the front, but if the T-34s get a nice flank off, that's going to be a whole other can of beans. Right now, in the center, we have a nice push coming in from Red Force. He's going to be popping that rapid conscription, getting a lot of free conscripts. He's also going for a T-34-76 to provide additional medium tank support to his ally. Although I feel like they're going for an Su-85 might have been a much better choice, just to get that extra bit of anti-tank capabilities that T-34-85, well, they can do a lot of damage to vehicles. Oh, this is very dangerous. Retreat. Well, they can do a lot of damage to vehicles. They just don't have the range and thus durability, because of course the farther away you're staying from the enemy, the safer you're supposed to be, to provide a very safe form of AT. The T-34-85s just kind of have to rush in to be at their maximum effectiveness, and of course to get the maximum effectiveness of rushing in, you have to be rushing in from the flank, And overall, whenever you're flanking, you're not going to be really able to, for example, defend your support weapons from enemy tank attack because, of course, you're somewhere else. So Su-85 might have been a better choice, and ooh, the T-70 being used as a bait, actually, a distraction. It actually does work because the Stugs kind of automatically fire on it, and one of the marked vehicles is going to be going down. One of the Stugs is going to be going down thanks to the marked vehicle. T-70 manages to escape because the Stug does not go all in on killing it, and right now it seems like also the Grenadiers are a little bit too far away to get Panzerfaust off on these T-34s, so that was a very, very successful push from Comaster. It's exactly what I was talking about with the T-34s. If they're determined to kill the Stugs, to kill even the Yaktir later, if they're determined to do that, then there's not really much that the Germans can do to stop them, because I mean, they don't really have a lot of, well, their AT defense is supposed to be the Stugs, but who's going to defend the defenders if they're flanked, or if they're just rushed and they can't really deal with all the enemies at once? So at this point, not really the best choice for the Germans. They are getting essentially out purchased by the Allies in a way. Not in terms of quantity, but in terms of how the units sort of stack up against each other. And the south, yeah, Grenadiers. Yeah, these Grenadiers need to be very, very careful at this point because of all the area of effect that's on the field, all of the explosive damage. That's not really too great for them. Also, looks like the Howitzer got a pretty strong barrage off. It was at 8 kills the last time I saw it, and now it's at 15, so tons of damage coming in from him. The Katyusha also doing quite fine at 26. This is a prime target for the Katyusha. He's about to be reloaded 8 seconds. Ah, that's unfortunate. They get away. There's also a depot charge defending here, so very, very well played by the Soviets, continuing to make use of their depot charges and mines, even into the late game, when, for example, you have other things to worry about, such as, you know, microing your infantry, fighting it out in the main engagements, and, of course, overall, you do not have also as much time with your engineers because you're going to be repairing vehicles left and right. But what the Allies have been doing so far is pretty actually impressive, because they've been able to continue placing down mines and demo charges throughout the map. And that's definitely helped them out quite a lot, especially against the Wehrmacht player, because the Wehrmacht player earlier on had a very strong force of Grenadiers that he lost because of a lot of wipes from demo charges, and the mortar is also edging in and doing a lot of help. For that, he was able to rebuild 3 Grenadiers and get them vetted up again, but at the same time, that's kind of slowed him down quite a bit. So he's got a Tiger now from, of course, Lightning War. Yeah, of course, the Tiger is a very, very strong little pick. I think that had he gone for that earlier, he might be in a different position right about now. Of course, Tiger is also very vulnerable to the T-34-85 Horde, but at the same time, it's got a little bit more mobility to escape, and also, of course, extremely better armor than Stugs, etc., etc. So the T-34 is going to be essentially obliged to get behind it to get penetrating hits. But one major flaw that I'm seeing with the Germans is that the Tiger is in the south and the Yaktir is in the north. Considering how the Allies have been playing, as you can see, they're supporting each other. For example, right now, Red Force is providing artillery and that T-34-76 and also the Partisans to support the T-34-85s in the north. Well, tfaju mać, he goes down. So, unfortunately, yeah, he goes down. But overall, what the Allies were doing was right. They're just kind of playing off on their own strengths and supporting each other. But the Germans are trying to play the 1v1 game. They're playing 2 1v1s. And that's kind of a problem because, as you can see, here comes the Partisans. They managed to get a damaged engine off on the Yaktir. Then here comes the marked vehicle from Comaster, and Comaster brings in his T-34-85s. Only 2 of them, but that's still enough if they can get behind the Yaktir, especially with the support of the Panzerschrecks, who are getting damage boosted by the marked vehicle. And what could have stopped all of this? Maybe, well, if the Tiger had been supporting the Yaktir, then all of this might not have happened. So there goes the Yaktir. Both of the T-34-85s in a very, very bad spot. In fact, one of them is already burning, and the second one will follow very soon. The Katyusha barrage is going to be dealing a lot of damage to the German infantry, but that's not going to be enough to save the T-34-85 from the Stug. Of course, at the same time, there's a couple of T-34-76s from Red Force who are in the area, who are going to be repulsed by the Tiger and the Pack. So finally, Lima Oscar Mike managing to get some support to his ally, destroying one of the T-34s, but that's a little bit too late. I mean, there's a triple cap going for the Allies. they're draining the Germans very, very quickly. They're down to 212. And at the same time, the infantry game is very much in favor of the Soviets. As you can see, there's tons of conscripts that have been essentially obtained by rapid conscription for Red Force. And there's, of course, a pretty substantial force from Co-Master as well. So they're going to be able to keep control over the center and the north through sheer bodies, while the Germans are kind of licking their wounds and getting themselves back on their feet with, well, their Yaktir dead, a lot of infantry for Shadow Link dead, Lee Mosker Mike also kind of depleted. So overall, not the best situation for the Germans, despite the fact that they kind of managed to get a victory in the end by destroying 4 T-34s, only one of which is 76. Overall, it just seems like they're not going to have the metal, just in terms of infantry, to come back and capture and hold the VPs. I mean, they're trying to do that in the center and the north, but they're losing the south at the same time. And once the Soviets are able to fortify this, then, of course, with these two MGs that they've stolen, MG42 and MG34, they're going to be able to redeploy all these infantry units back towards the center, help deal with the Tiger with, of course, 3 T-34-85s that are being rebuilt by Co-Master, because he had a ton of resources saved up when he had 100 PopCap. And then just come back with the vengeance and try to deal with the Tiger. Ooh, very nice. Panzerfaust off on the C-34-85, which should be trying to use the shack as cover. Unfortunately for Lee Mosker Mike, he's not going to be able to get the kill off. And right now his Tiger is in a very bad spot. The Penals are trying to close into the range to throw a satchel charge, but they might want to throw one at the Stuk. So the Stuk is going to be in trouble at this point because of the Partisans, actually. Partisans, along with a T-34-76 coming in from the flank for Red Force. This could be very, very bad. Also for the Tiger, if the T-34 can manage to get exactly this. But, oh, that's unfortunate. Gets cucked by the game, essentially. Yeah, that should have been a block. But the Tiger phases through. Very, very unfortunate for Red Force, who had the right play going. There goes the Stug. Here comes the marked vehicle on the Tiger, and right now the Allies are diving in for it. The Panzerfausts, no, not the Panzerfausts, the Panzerschrecks from the Partisans are trying to do some damage, but they're going to be forced away. Here comes the Ura from a couple of conscripts, trying to get in close enough to throw an anti-tank grenade, but the Tiger is really going to be able to escape, I think, at this point. Yeah, overall, it does not seem like there's going to be much that the Allies can do to deal with that. But still, they managed to get a very, very good victory off. They still have their artillery pretty much intact. Yeah, even the 120mm mortars, everything is pretty much intact. They have triple cap coming along the way. The conscripts are running right into the German base and causing all sorts of nasty trouble for Shadow Link, managing to force away these poor combat engineers back to base, where they might try to repair the Tiger, but the Tiger is at half HP and really cannot afford to sit back and let the Allies win because they're at 152 points. So with a triple cap, they're only going to be lasting about 3 minutes. They need to do something to recapture at least one of them. They're trying to push along the south, but the Tiger's in the north and the infantry is in the south, and Shadow Link is nowhere. So overall, I don't see how the Allies are going to be losing this, because they just seem to have a very, very solid defense anywhere along the map. And they're going to be able to hold, I think. Yeah, so also guards in the south helping out there. T-34-85s from Co-Master are back online. All 3 of them. Of course, none of them are vetted up, but who gives? Because, of course, you know, they don't really need to be too vetted up because they don't really have any opponents left on the field. There's only a Tiger. Nice usage of the Raketenwerfer, stealthing up to the point, going to be able to capture it. Most likely, I mean, this combat engineer is not going to be able to stop it alone with the support of an MG34, but it's going to spot it for the Katyusha. The Katyusha's back, reloaded, and also the combat engineer squad getting behind these sandbags will be able to actually hold for quite a while, disallowing the Germans from getting capping points off. They managed to capture the center, but center, yeah, it's going to go back to the Allied hands pretty quickly with that massive retaliation from T-34-85s and Katyusha. Katyusha up to 38 kills, definitely paying for itself. And right now, it seems like this howitzer is also going to be firing at the German, this HQ, the Mechanized Regiment, not at the battle group. Of course, with the Veteran C3, it does get extra range, but it does not fire the battle group. Also, Stuka pops up and manages to get a barrage off, forces away the combat engineers, although it was an interestingly placed barrage. I don't think it was a very good one at that. And yeah, I don't think the Germans will be able to do too much to come back into this. I mean, the T-3485s were just a little bit too much on the front lines when they were able to just constantly run in unopposed, getting behind the German medium tanks and, well, not medium tanks, the heavy tanks and the tank destroyers. And of course, again, as always, it comes down to coordination. Lima Oscar Mike was not there to save the Tiger in the moment of need, and so he was able to come in later, get a bit of cleanup off, but he was not able to save his ally. So what that meant was that the Soviets just got a little bit too much for too little in the time that they were essentially 2v1ing Shadow Link. So what that ended up having an effect is that, well, right now, Lima Oscar Mike really is fighting with a teammate because, yeah, as you can see, his ally doesn't really have too much. He only just now managed to get a Panther on the field, but even that's not going to be too much. I mean, of course, there's 3 T-3485s on the field, and there's going to be more T-3476s coming through for Red Force, maybe? I don't know. So overall, one Panther really isn't going to be enough to stop all of those vehicles, especially if they come in with a very nice flank. There was no flank coverage for the Tiger. Tiger eats the marked vehicle, and the T-34s stop. Well, that saved the Tiger, and also destroyed this one T-3485, but the Soviet infantry might still be able to retake one of the points. Yeah, there's a couple of partisans. They're going to be able to take down the Stug, but this little force from Shadow Link is going to have to be taken out by the mortars. I'm thinking that the fire from the 120mm mortars might be able to take them out. It does not, very luckily for Shadow Link. That should have been a kill on both of the squads, but they managed to survive. Unfortunately, the T-3485s are back. They're pounding away at the Panther. The Panther cannot defend the Tiger, and the Tiger is taking fire from the Partisans. The Partisans basically are unopposed because there's only AT gun and mortar crews in the area, which they immediately receive a nice barrage of welcoming from the Katyusha, so they're going to be going down as well. And the north is going to be recaptured by the Penals, and the center is contested by those Grenadiers, but of course, more rapid conscripts are going to be coming through and stopping them in their tracks. Of course, with the help of the 120mm mortars, this isn't going to be too hard for Co-Master, and Red Force is securing the south with a couple of MGs, so I'm guessing that, yeah, this is going to be the end. Again, I kind of just already reiterated what I thought was the reason why the Germans lost. Kind of a lack of coordination. What else could they have done to change the outcome of the game? I think that Shadow Link going for the Yati was a very, very bad decision overall. I mean, despite the fact that his ally didn't really help him out too much, he really wasn't going to be too useful in the first place. Because, I mean, that Yak Tiger, what's the Yak Tiger going to do against a lot of T-3485s if the T-3485s are used correctly? Especially considering how much infantry the Soviets had on the field, especially Red Force, but also Co-Master didn't really have a bad force of infantry either. I mean, he has 3 Penals and guards, riflemen left at the end, so that's very, very good. Overall, I just think that if the Axis had been a little bit more focused on getting more anti-infantry on the field, they might have been able to bleed the Soviets dry a little bit quicker, and they would have been able to keep more map control, especially, which was really the main driving factor behind why the Soviets got all that infantry and all those support weapons, is because they wanted to keep that central line of VPs under their control after they lost the beginning and they were very much down in terms of VPs. So they were able to keep that under their control and sort of secure a safety net, just in case they lost their vehicles or something. They could have just thrown bodies at the problem. That's what they did, and of course also Lima Oscar Mike, with all those Stugs, really contributed to that. I mean, against T-3485s, I kind of see why you would want to go for Stugs instead of Panzer IVs, but perhaps rushing for the Tiger a little bit earlier might have resulted in some more free kills off on T-34s if the Tiger had been cautiously used to sort of snipe away at long range, get a kill, retreat. Perhaps also to support a KT or the Yak tier in case Shadow Link still wanted to go for the Yak tier. And yeah, I think that overall, while coordination was the main issue for the Germans, just, the fact that they play 2 1v1s instead of a 2v2, maybe what they could have also done is having a little bit better fuel usage. Better purchases when it comes to vehicles could have definitely helped them out overall. Also, the Stuka didn't really do too much. So I guess the Stuka usage wasn't the best, but hey, that can work out in various different ways. And yeah, overall, I think that's just kind of the end. I mean, they played pretty well with their infantry, as well as could be expected considering all that rain of fire that was coming through from the 120s and the Katyushas. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.